Francis Kurkdjian has become one of the most celebrated names in perfumery in the past few decades. Many know him for being the nose behind Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male and the acclaimed release from his house, Baccarat Rouge 540. But another notable release from MFK is the 2016 resinous vanilla creation with Grand Soir. In this video, I'm going to review this one, share my subjective take on my general thoughts, and also at the end, give some recommendations on who I think this is best suited for. So Grand Soir is in an eau de parfum concentration available in two primary sizes, one 200 ml for $435 and 70 ml for $235, the size that we're going to be looking at here today. It comes in the conventional cubic glass bottle with the gold typeface to match its heavy gold cap on top. Speaking to the scent of Grand Soir, it's commonly defined as having notes of amber, vanilla, labdanum, tonka bean, and benzoin. Although this fragrance has a relatively linear dry down once it hits its stride, the one area where I experience a few turns are with the opening. Off the initial spray, Grand Soir to me has the lingering notes defined in its packaging, but it also smells like a dry floral, almost evoking some classic fougere elements with some additional musky undertones at the start. This might just be me, but I also noticed that some say that they're getting lavender in here, which isn't listed as a note, but I can see that impression given what I smell off the top of this combination of sensations. I also recall smelling this one in store for the first time and not really liking it immediately, and I had to come back to this one to give it another try to eventually change my opinion. But this is one of those fragrances that I began to appreciate way more as it dries down on the skin. This more intense opening dissipates around 15 to 20 minutes after initial spray, and then you have this amber vanilla accord that turns to a warm, dried honey effect when combined with the benzoin and the use of coumarin. When it comes to performance, Grand Soir is excellent. I can still detect this one on skin quite easily around 9 hours in. However, it isn't a fragrance that's going to project emphatically. Instead, it has a more intimate but long-lasting approach unless you wear it during warmer months, and if you do, careful on the sprays. Now, when it comes to the time of year, probably no surprise it's going to be better suited for the colder months of the year. That said, I do think it could be worn on a cooler spring or summer night, as its combination of sophisticated yet approachable makes it a nice wear for a formal event, as an example. Just go a little bit lighter on the sprays. Now, although there is probably some element of this being limiting during certain types of the year, you can't say the same thing about the wearer, as I think this can work with pretty much anybody. Different age demographics, talking about men versus women. I think anybody can wear a Grand Soir, which I think is one of the leading characteristics of this fragrance and why so many people like it. I think a big reason for this is it doesn't contain any of the typical smoky incense or woody combinations commonly paired with amber fragrances, making for a more neutral end result. So now some final considerations on Grand Soir from MFK. Now this genre of fragrances, these kind of resinous amber accord, amber vanilla type fragrances, not typically the genre of fragrance that I'm a big fan of usually. I think this is a good entry point for those that maybe want to test the waters. Maybe they have the niche or independent perfumery budget and they want to get into a fragrance that is of this genre. It's also a bit more easier to break down and enjoy. This is part of the reason and magic behind this fragrance, because I do think compared to many like Sur Souten's Amber Sultan, and this is more dense, harder to wear amber compared to something like this. And I think that's part of the reason why this has become so popular. Tad more linear once you get past that opening that, to me, just my opinion, I just experienced a lot of curves in that. It's rather harsh. Not to say it's bad, but it does have more involved than what the note profile at least seems on paper. Not gonna have a crazy scent cloud, maybe light sillage with this one, but certainly workable for those cold winter days. And another big point for this fragrance is the fact that I don't think you can put it into a box. It's a fragrance that could be worn by essentially anybody. And I'm pretty loose when it comes to like, oh, this is for younger people, this is for older. I think people should just wear what they like. And even if you do define on that wavelength, this is going to work for many people out there. I could see this working on a man. I can see this working on a woman. I can see this working for a young person in their 20s, and also working really well on somebody who's more elevated in their career and maybe is towards the 50s, 60s, and 70s. So my final take on Grand Soir, although it's not necessarily a genre that I like, I tend to like this one. It's rather simple for what it is, and I would say if somebody's trying to maybe want to investigate this amber vanilla subgenre of fragrances, this is a good one to start out with. But I think this is what MFK does so well, taking these approaches to perfumery kind of breaking them down into a more simple form and still doing it with this elevated feel. That's what I would say Grand Soir does when it comes to this genre of fragrances, and it's definitely one to check out, and there's a reason why I decided to review it. I do like this one. But all right, guys, that is my take on MFK's Grand Soir. What is your take on this one? Do you like this one? Do you not like this one? Do you think the hype associated with this fragrance is maybe unwarranted? Leave a comment down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Also, definitely check out our new Instagram account, posting great photos of fragrances, great way to communicate with us a little more directly, and also get some great inspiration for your next signature scent. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Be well, and I'll see you all very soon.